The most classic drinking white armor blade sound has 3 things in common, and if you can replicate these 3 things, you're gonna be able to make a drinking type beat. It's gonna be all you need to know, so let's get into it. So first of all, it's actually using the right presets. You need sounds that sound really synthetic, really dark and saturated. Autogun is surprisingly good for these, such as this infamous preset right here, which is just a classic amongst white armor producers. This serum plug is also a great example of dark, distorted and really synthetic. Once you got the sound selection down, it's really important to remember, we're not making digicore, you don't want to spam sounds, you want to lay them strategically. So for example, in the first half of the chord progression you can have a lot of notes playing, and then in the second half you can have like maybe 2. It really helps the melody stay dynamic and somewhat interesting. You're going to be using a lot of halftime, and also a lot of this gross beat pitch shifting thing. Halftime is actually really useful because you can create this really dark sound, and also it helps the melody sound less crowded, just so it's less going on and sort of just more atmospheric. Choosing a dark chord progression also really helps. Preferably lay down single notes or like double notes, not like full chords. And also make the notes close to each other. That helps them stay dark. Because if you make them too spread apart, it's just gonna sound happy and just like jumpy, whatever. You wanna have some dark sounding leads to support your melody. And again, really the secret here is to use a lot of halftime and gross beat. Sometimes when you're using the -12 pitch shifting and gross beat, so what I prefer to do is to pitch your melody up 5 semitones and then go to the gross beat and actually set -5. So it's going to be in the same key you started with, and it's going to be less glitchy but still having that dark tone to it. A cool trick you can use for your respaces is to have pauses in them, like this. It really helps to create tension. Dark melodies like that tend to sound empty. So usually I like to add some rain ambience as well as some effects, like this camera shot I edited. And the third tip is to make drum patterns that are bouncy and sort of not really hard hitting. Like it's just supposed to be more simple, so like don't go all in with some like saturation and stuff. Just make a regular trap drum pattern and just mess with the hi-hats and snares to add some bounce. These double kicks really help in the bounce. It's just bouncy. Notice how this isn't just a regular 2-step hi-hat pattern. We actually have some more space here for other drums to breathe. To make it even more bouncy, we have these hi-hats routed to another channel with some hi-hat, reverb, and some gross beat, just to make it even more bouncy. The rest of the drums is really standard. And crash on every kick. We also have some pretty heavy sidechain from the kick to the 808. A sidechain 808 can really add bounce. It also helps to have risers every 8 bars, and a cool trick I have for you is to actually put delay on the risers. It just makes the riser go really nice with the drums. Also, making pauses in the 808s and hi-hats specifically is gonna make the drums flow much better in the arrangement. Here the 808 actually pauses when the hi-hats come in, which just makes this transition really interesting and dynamic. Little stuff like this in your beats can really turn them from good to great. So I say it's always worth it to spend some extra time on your beats and just perfecting all the transitions. Don't overthink it, of course, but try to find more ways to add stuff to your beats. and make them more interesting. I think Shinju is a great example of this. Shinju is one of the biggest producers on YouTube that still make blade side beats. Notice how his melodies are incredibly simple, but the transitions make up for it. So we start with the melody alone, then immediately drums and effects, such as the car keys, and then another pause in the 808s, then a riser and more melodies. This is really small stuff, an average listener wouldn't even notice, but you can really feel it and it makes the beat more interesting and makes me like this beat a lot. So the three main things we learned in this video. First is to use sounds in the melody that sound dark and really synthetic and distorted / saturated. Second one is to not spam notes and place them carefully. Let the melody breathe. And when the main melody isn't playing, you can utilize lead patterns to fill up the space. And 3 is to make the drums bouncy and use regular trap sounds in them. Don't make them too hard hitting, just focus on the bounce, especially in the kicks and hi-hats. I hope you learned something new. Let me know if this format is something you'd like to see more, and I wish you luck making your drinking type beats. See you soon in the next video.